Right chaps, Tuesday morning, I'm back on this. I've got that corner in there and we've got to hand make that corner there and run that section in. So the first job of today is to cook some more lime putty. Pretty much run out. I'll need a little bit for finishing this job off. I've got some cooking away there. You might be able to hear it bubbling away. So that's going to take about half an hour to slate properly. Meantime, I'm going to prep up and get ready for finishing off this damn job. Just have a look. Excuse me, frog in the old throat there. Right, so my last little bit I did on here was I put the basic shape on with casting plaster. Now, as I've probably mentioned before, your casting plaster does set rather quickly. You get 5 minutes, so that is pretty fast. Now, I have put a little bit of hydrated lime in it, which has slowed down that set, and I mean a little bit. You put too much and it's just not going to set. So that's nice and solid now. And we'll finish that off with a combination of a lime putty and casting plaster. Now, we'll do that the opposite way round. There'll be more lime putty than there will be casting plaster. Why are we putting the casting plaster in it? Well, that'll help to speed up the set of the lime putty. Right, let's crack on. Right, so this section here, what I'll do is I'll put a batten on to the ceiling, we'll fill it all out, and then we'll run it with the running mould. We can only go to about, well, maybe about there, and then we'll have to do that little bit by hand. All this will have to be formed by hand, because you can't get in there with your running mould to do it. Right, so here, what I have is some lime putty that was mixed quite some time ago. But the problem with it is there are lots of tiny little bits in it, little hard bits. And that's not much good for doing this. It's fine if I'm making up a mould to fill in brick, for example. But it's no good for fine work like this. It's because I've used a kibble rather than a ground lime. Now, if it was a ground lime, I wouldn't have the bits in it and then all the creamy putty, it wouldn't be a problem. So, how do we get around this? A sieve. So we work it through the sieve. And what that's doing, obviously, is taking out all of those pesky little bits that we don't want. Right, so that's probably all we're going to get out of this bucket now. It's virtually empty. But we've got a fair bit in the pot there. And going to give us a start. Now, you can see there, our clean putty. What we're going to do next, so I've got the muck off my glove, wipe it on that sponge. Like I say, I highly recommend wearing something like latex gloves when you're working with lime, because it is going to damage your skin. Right, in here, covered in it now. Clean clothes on as well. What we're going to do, we're going to put a little scoop, not too much, of casting plaster in. And we're going to really mix it well in. Mix it well in. Now, whenever I'm doing cornices, I like them to have a nice finish colour-wise as well. I like it to be a nice bright white. And you'll find with the casting plaster, it's like an off-white, it's a creamy colour, which obviously looks a bit not too brilliant, shall we say. So, what do we do? We've got here some earth pigment. This is titanium white. It's a very bright white. So we just add a tiny bit of that to one mixture there. And again, give it a really good mix in it. And that'll give us that lovely bright white plaster. Now you couldn't use this stuff with something like a gypsum, that's never going to work, you know. You don't want to be adding any pigments to gypsum really. Good mix it in there. I'll have the eggs and sugar in a minute. Right, there you go, and you can see how bright white that's gone now. You know, it almost looks like it's icing for your Christmas cake. And it dries a lovely, bright white finish, making your job look nice and tidy, nice and neat. And then, of course, when you clients or yourself indeed come to decorate, you're not putting coat after coat after coat of paint on it to try and cover up any of the dark patches, because it's already bright white. Now, you could use this stuff and a lime putty to make up a lime wash, which is basically a paint. I mean, you know, something like that, I'm going to know this, but you're better off using a ground line, slaking it, and while it's still hot, add your pigment, whisk it in, and you want it about consistency of, say, batter, and that makes a great lime wash. A bit too much on there, just bring that off there like so. So if you've got a hole in lath and plastic, not a great big hole in it, get a stick, safety goggles on of course, get a stick and poke all of them bits that are in between the laths out, get it all clean. Get your pump squirt bottle, saturate them laths, and then you want your coarse sand, your lime putty, or you can make a mortar up using a hot lime if you so desired, and your animal hair, horse or goat. Don't use cat hair. And then once you've done all that, okay, so we've cleaned it off, we've wet it up, we've mixed our gear, you then put it on, pushing it hard, pushing it into those laths, so you know it's going up and hooking over. Once you've done that, flatten it best you can, don't need to be perfect. Leave it for a short while so it gets a bit of a set on, and then do a crisscross diamond shape scratch pattern into it, because that's your scratch coat. And then go away. Leave it for a week. Come back after a week when it's dried out, give it a good saturation again, mix up your flow coat, which is the same as your scratch coat, mortar-wise, and you fire that on. Setting it back probably 2 to 3 millimetres from the existing plasterwork. Once that's got a bit of a set on, and use a devil float or a plastic float, a few nails in it, some very fine nails. I tend to use the nails excuse me, I tend to use the nails that I use for the laths in a float. Excuse me, very chesty today. So then you do it with your devil float, then you bugger off again. And then the next day, you can come back and knock up your putty finish. Now for this I recommend that you get a pre-made putty. Okay? That's if you're not used to working with lime. And you mix your putty 50-50 of a very fine sand. Now your kiln dried sand that you get from your local DIY store or your builder's merchants, the sort of stuff that you put in between block paving, your kiln dried sand. If you mix that 50-50 with your lime putty, use a paddle mixer so it goes into a nice creamy mix. Wants to be like double cream, maybe slightly thicker than double cream. And then you apply it, making sure that it's flush with the perimeter of the patch. So you've got it on, you flatten it off a bit, you leave it for a bit, go and have a cup of tea, go and get the bacon butties on. And then you come back and you put another layer on, only you lay it in, you work it in so you're getting rid of all your little dips and bumps and so on. You're not going to get it perfect at this stage. Don't try and get it smooth and flat at this stage, but you want to get it something like. And then you climb down and you go and eat your bacon butty and have your cup of tea and listen to the radio for 5 or 10 minutes. Then you want a fine sponge. Wet it in your bucket of water and in a circular motion, go around with your wet sponge. You can give it a squirt with a pump bottle if you need to. Once you've done it with the sponge, then get your trowel and start troweling it up. And you keep basically doing your troweling process by applying a bit more water. You can do it with a flat brush or a squirty bottle and just keep working it until it's got to the point where it's seamless, flatless, perfectless, everything is perfect. And that's pretty much what you do with a patch to lath and plaster, which is exactly the same as you do if you're doing the whole ceiling or the whole wall. There you go. Oh, there we go. Right, so using our stick again, backward and forward. What that's doing, it's digging into that stuff, but it's turning it into a paste as you go backward and forward. So it's not actually taking any off as such, it's just moving it around. And that's giving us that lovely line, that lovely edge. Like I said, that's going to want a little bit more stuff on it because it's not filled out as deeply as the front there. So we'll come to that in a moment or two. We're just getting the rough shape at the moment. Bringing it around. You can start to see now how it's forming that corner quite nicely. So we need to build out this section here with a bit more stuff. And once that's done, we can then move on to that and so forth. Hopefully in an hour or so we should have this section done, just leaving us this nice easy piece to run it. So there you go, it's quite, I'd say, not hard. It's not hard to do, but you've got to have the patience and some skill in the old fingers, you know. You're never going to get them perfect if you've not been doing it for years, or you're not going to run it with a running mold. Well, that's fine, you know, if you're going to get it something near because you want to redecorate the lounge or something like that, it's got a chunk missing out because a plumber in 1982 came and knocked a hole in it and stuck a pipe through it. Well, you know, it's great, this method for patching in and doing bits like that, but you're not going to do it this way to run in a whole section. Right, chaps, this here is a lump of lime. And as you can see, it's set. So what's the problem with that? Well, the problem with it is, I can just get bits off, it's still quite moist. Now this is over a week old. So you'd have thought it had set quite solid. Well, the reason that it's not set, and the reason that it will never set, is because this is hydrated lime. The kind of lime that you can buy at your local builders merchants in a 25 kilo bag. And you'd use it to add to a cement render or making mortars for laying your bricks, etc. And you're just using it basically as like a plasticizer, just to make your mortars workable. Now, if this block here, if I just squash it up and add water to it, it'll go all loose and workable again. And then eventually it'll go like this again. And I could squash it up and make it workable again. And I could do that till the end of time. Now, some of you lads will know that have done college, etc., that when you're doing anything, say bricklaying at college, they'll be using this stuff to make your mortars, not adding cement to it. Because that way, it can be whatever you built can be taken down, the bricks are reused, and the mortar's knocked up again. There's no waste. But don't think that you can go down to your builder's merchants and buy a bag of lime, which is hydrated lime, and start doing your lime pointing or lime plastering or all that kind of thing with it, because it is never ever going to set for you. The only way you get this to set is to put something with it, which kind of defeats the object of it being lime. So there you go, just a little lesson on lime. Because obviously you've got your NHL limes, which are your natural hydraulic limes. You have your quick lime, which you can make into hot mortar mix, or you can use it to make putties, to make finishes, etc. You can use it for making up a lime wash. This stuff, hydrated lime, you can use it for adding to cement-based mortars. So how do we get hydrated lime? Why is it hydrated lime? Well, it derives from quicklime. Okay, so if I was to get some of my kibble, for example, and I didn't put quite enough water in it, it turned to a powder rather than a putty as it slakes. That's this. Okay, now if you were to use it fresh within a week, maybe 2 weeks, if you're making it, it'll set. It'll be fine. But leave it any longer and it'll be like this, because that's what this was. Manufactured that way, of course, but it won't set without. There you go, just a little heads up on lime for those that don't really know about lime. Okay, chaps, as you can see, that is now the corner complete. So I'm going to pop a batten on the ceiling now to get that section there. Now we've only got a little bit of that cornice to run, there's not loads of it. So I'll put a batten on, I'll fill it all out with lime putty, and then I'll put the running mould across it. And yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be done in a matter of hours. That includes cleaning, of course. Got to get all the kit in the van. My favourite job. Not. Right, so I've got a bit of lath. I'm going to clip to the ceiling there and get it in line with the piece I've run and the existing piece there, which is about there. It's looking not too bad there. That's what we're going to be using to sort this out. Now we're using the fresh lime putty, although it is a bit wet. It's slightly wet, so I don't know what's going on there because it wasn't as wet as that. Anyway, so what we do is first and foremost, as we normally do when we do anything like this, is wet up the substrate that we're going on to, just to stop any suction. Not a little bit else to come off, so we'll get rid of it. pushing that well in there now, making sure it's stuck, which it is. Okay, so we're not going to get this in one huge lump. I'm going to build it up, let it pull in a bit, put a bit more on and so on. And then we'll run the up mould over it. Now this is just pure lime putty, there's no casting plaster in this at all. This is just pure lime putty that we're using on this one. Because it will pull in, not a problem. Okay, right. Just wet up the mould. It doesn't stick to it. I'm as close to that as I can. Yes. Yeah. This original cornice is all over the place. All over the place. Not to worry. We'll make it right. Right, so we've now got a lump on there. It's nowhere near what we need. So I'll put that on, we'll run over with the mould and take off anything that are now high spots. And then we'll leave that for a little bit, have a bit of a tidy up while we wait for that to pull in a bit. And then I'll put some more on and keep doing that until eventually we've got this the right shape. As you can see, it's taken some off, which tells me that it's it did need some removing with the mould. Just clean off the batten. It's really starting to take shape now, this. Right, so we'll leave that now Probably give it 5 minutes, just pull him a little bit, and then I'll put some more on it and we'll go over it again. Bit of a messy job, really. And of course, if you're enjoying watching this, don't forget to give it the old thumbs up, the old likes. Very important we get those likes each week. Building this channel slowly but surely. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it all for you. Right, here we go again. Definitely took some off that time. Over it again. All up there. So we don't need that on there. Okay, so all we need to start doing now is building up this front edge. The back edge is pretty much full now. It's just this front edge we've got to build up and form. Oops. Covered now. Absolutely covered in it. I was clean this morning when I turned up, clean clothes on. It's starting to take shape now. It is starting to take shape, which is what we want. So again, we need to just leave that for a minute or two now. Look at me, I'm covered in it. Yeah, we need to leave that for a minute or two now, just to pull in again a little bit. And then we can add some more to it. Keep going until it's done. Now, of course, the existing cornice, we're not going over. Let's use our little brush with some water on. Just go over it, just to take off any excess stuff that I may have got on there. Also very good at filling out cracks. Although the cracks will probably come back through, but makes it look nice when we've finished, which is good. This is very good. We'll clean off the back again. We find the trowel. There it is, it's hiding. So, I'm sat in here having a cup of tea, thinking it's a bit nippy today. It's only about 8, and I get a phone call, and it's my father from Spain telling me that it's a bit cold there today. It's only 21. 21. That'd be short weather, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't think there'll be too much messing about with it when we're done. I think it'll be pretty much just keep running it and keep brushing it till it sets to. So that's pretty much what you do. Obviously your corners, you've got to run them by hand. And then your big areas, you can use your running mould there, with your battens, etc. Which is obviously a lot quicker than doing the old running it by hand. So I'll come back to you in a while. So it's going to take a bit for that to draw the moisture out now, and before I can put any more on it. And I'll get a bit more on, and I'll come back to you, and we'll have a look at it as I'm finishing it off. Right, well, it's been about half an hour since I put any on there. Had a bit of a clean up. So we'll have a look and see if it's ready for some more. Yeah, that's stiffened up lovely, that has. Which is what we want. Okay, here we go again. We'll get another big wad of stuff on it, and then run it. A bit more precise with it this time, putting it on. Right, I'll leave that a little roll now. The old mould up there. Get into position. Nearly. Nearly dropped it. Oh yes, that's looking nice now. Starting to take shape nicely now, that. Of course, the batten that I put on the ceiling, that will remain for a while, because if I try and take it off today, it will break the edge away. So we'll leave it till we come back to do the next bit for it. Here we go again. Oh, that's looking lovely now, that. Now, you see what I was saying about it's so much easier when you're running it than it is trying to do it by hand on your corners. You know, it's a lot quicker. Let's take the excess off the back there, because I've got the original cornice there. We don't want to be covering that up. A little bit there. And there. Nearly there now. We're nearly there. A little bits here and there that just need some in. Right, so that's now completely run. So again, it needs to set in a little bit, and then I go over it with the brush and water, and then the running mould again, and I keep doing that until it's a lovely, smooth, straight piece. So we'll give it another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll crack on with that. Right, chaps, there you go, job done. It's set lovely, that, which is what we wanted. I did end up putting a little bit of the casting plaster in it because the putty was taking forever. So I dragged it off, put it back in the tub, mixed in some casting plaster, put it back on, and run it again, and it was set within 5 minutes. So there's your answer. If you're going to do it with putty and it's just a small piece and you want it to get off for your tea and biscuits, best thing to do is put in a little bit of casting plaster to get it to set off. Right, well, that brings us to the end of this video. Not the end of this job though, unfortunately, or fortunately. And don't forget, thumbs up, big thumbs up, hit that like button. Hit it as many times as you want, but it'll only do it once, unfortunately. But hit that like button anyway. And welcome to all the new subscribers. Very good to see you on board. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you've enjoyed this particular video, or indeed any of the videos that are on the channel, please feel free to subscribe. Right, well, we'll leave you here now for this episode of buggering about with old buildings. So let's get the bill in. Right, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.